Testing. Muchas gracias por estar aquí en esta rueda de prensa. Thank you very much for coming at such short notice to our press conference. Today, this evening, Lost in Detention will be shown on PBS Frontline. We believe it's a critical movie, a documentary that shows at least a glimpse of what is occurring in the United States of America, in detention centers. And we're here not only to call attention to the movie, but more importantly, to talk about the connections of having local law enforcement working in collaboration increasingly every single day across this country and here as well. And that is why we are in front of the Tucson Police Department, because it has been local law enforcement collaboration with immigration and ICE and CBP and all of them that has resulted in a record number of deportations. Today, John Morton, Janet Napolitano, Cecilia Munoz, and the Obama administration has released an article to sort of undermine what we're doing here today and our points, indicating that almost half of those deported are convicted criminals, and therefore it plays to the U.S. public narrative that we should be deporting. It's just that we should focus on, quote, criminals. Not only is it really a lie, and more importantly, we have to ask ourselves, why would this be? Why would the increase of deported immigrants go from, quote, 5% convicted, quote, criminals to almost 20%? That is a question that we have to ask ourselves, because we know the answer. And we know that the answer is that we are doing everything in our power. Our government is doing everything in its power and spending unprecedented amounts to do it, to criminalize people before deporting them. We're not satisfied with having an administration that has deported more immigrants than any other administration in the history of this country. But now we want to criminalize them first, for two reasons. It plays well with a political narrative that is spread across this country that, yes, they're criminals, we have to deport criminals, and, you know, how dare these people come and commit crimes and then expect to be here. It plays on the narrative to be anti-immigrant. And secondly, we cannot forget that the criminalization process that is growing in this country by leaps and bounds, while we see by leaps and bounds downward monies for education, healthcare, infrastructure, jobs, and all of the elements that provide true security for our communities. We see a dramatic increase in the apparatus to criminalize people. I'm going to introduce two women that are involved in documenting, hearing testimonies and stories of the kind of abuse that you will see in tonight's movie. Everybody should see Lost in Detention. And so first I will introduce Carol and Rachel, who will share this mic and share the stories.
My name is Rachel Lynch. I'm from the Restoration Project at Casa Mariposa. And while detention centers in Arizona may be hidden away in deserts far from urban areas, detention is very real right here in Tucson. In addition to the people from this community who are robbed from their families and from our community and held in detention, each night people are brought from the detention center in Eloy to the Greyhound station in Tucson, often too late to get on a bus for the night, and left stranded outside the bus station at midnight when it closes. Each night we hear stories of dehumanizing experiences, of being denied medical services, of being called rats, of being treated like they are not a human being. Carol will share some of the stories today.
We've met hundreds of people, and some of the stories that we've heard include ways to dehumanize people. One of those situations that happens in detention in Eloy is that if you're being held there, you can't touch another person who's being detained. You cannot help them if they've fallen to get up. You cannot give them a hug. You cannot touch their arm or their hand. And if you do, you will be thrown into isolation and taken, having your privileges taken away. Another dehumanizing story that we've heard is of a young pregnant woman who was forced to sleep on the top bunk. She fell off one night. She was in great pain. She asked to see a doctor. She was worried about herself and her baby. A guard walked by and told her to shut up. You are not special and your baby's not special. That woman is special. She's a human being, and we need to honor the dignity of every human being for each other.
Thank you, Carol. The next person I will introduce is a person who has been impacted in the worst way possible by having collaboration of local law enforcement who feel it is now their duty and their right to enforce immigration law. And it pains me to introduce her. I want to respect some privacy. I will call her Maria, and she will give this testimony in Spanish. But I want to tell you, her brother was racially profiled, she believes, and he believed, by a police officer in Tucson, who then called the Border Patrol because he didn't have proper ID. He wound up being deported, and because he has his family here, like so many of us, years in this country, he attempted to come back, and he passed away. He died in the desert, and you cannot escape the direct causation of a local law enforcement officer acting and this gentleman's death. And so I will introduce to you Maria.
Yo quiero hablarles de mi gran dolor que hemos pasado por la pérdida de mi hermano que fue en el desierto. Él era un hombre muy trabajador, respetuoso, de buenos sentimientos. Pues hemos estado pasando por muchas cosas desde el momento que él lo agarraron, lo paró la policía. Él venía de su trabajo cuando lo detuvo la policía cerca de su casa y le pidió su ID y él no la traía. Entonces, al ver que no la traía, pues ellos le hablaron a migración y se lo llevaron. Entonces a él duró nomás un día. Al siguiente día lo echaron por Mexicali, siendo que él no era ni de Mexicali, muy lejos del estado de donde él era. Entonces, pues él sufrió mucho para llegar hasta acá y pues no se me hacía justo, porque en realidad pues es muy triste que una persona pierda la vida por consecuencias de esas. Mi madre estuvo hasta en el hospital por mucho tiempo, la operaron del corazón. Yo he estado muy enferma, también estuve en el hospital con depresiones muy fuertes, estuve en manos del cardiólogo. Pues él es una persona que tiene 5 hijos. Él ya tenía aquí 10 años viviendo en Estados Unidos, en Tucson. Y pues en realidad es una historia muy triste, demasiado triste. Desde que pasó lo de él, pues las vidas de nosotros son muy diferentes, la de sus hijos. Y pues no sé, no me siento, cada vez que pasa, que recuerdo que, aunque todos los días, aunque no pase esto, lo recuerdo, es algo inolvidable. Es muy triste, muy triste. Y pues aunque yo sé que nada ni nadie me lo va a regresar, porque es mi hermanito querido. Y yo quisiera que esto que le pasó a mi hermano no le pase a nadie. En realidad es muy triste y muy doloroso. yo no quisiera, pues ya lo de mi hermano ya pasó, ¿verdad? Como les dije, nada ni nadie me lo va a regresar. Pero yo quisiera que nadie, personas como él y personas como yo, la familia, que no sufran por estas cosas que están pasando tan duras. Discúlpenme, pero no puedo hablar mucho, me siento mal. No.
Gracias. He left 5 children, had been here over 10 years with all his family, was her younger brother, hardworking man, and had no reason to die. And so her last request is that it not happen to anybody again. We know personally that she has lived a very, very painful couple of years. And this is directly related to the policies that we'll see tonight, the policies that are utilized by TPD, the sheriffs, and so many law enforcement agencies across this country. We should not be shocked then at the dramatic increase of the deportation of people. Next, I'm honored to introduce, being here with us today is Reverend John Fife to share his perspective on this.
Thank you. The reports are mounting, and I hope all of you will help the people of this community and the United States connect the dots. Not just the documentary on PBS tonight, but the report of No More Deaths, about a culture of cruelty in Border Patrol short-term detention facilities, Amnesty International, the Organization of American States Human Rights Commission, report after report after report from across the nation about the systemic corruption and violation of human rights that is now presently occurring in our name and by our government. And the devastating thing is that since all of these reports have been verified and accumulated, our local police department, our local government, our local sheriffs still cooperate, still help in this terrible systemic violation of human rights. And so our appeal is, the evidence is in. This system of immigration, detention, and deportation must be stopped until it is reformed. And most of all, our local police officers and our local governments must stop cooperating in this terrible systemic violation of human rights until it is reformed. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We're open for questions. I don't know if Maria Eugenia wanted to make any statements.
Muy buenas tardes, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Mi nombre es María Eugenia Carrasco y yo trabajo para la Coalición de Derechos Humanos. Básicamente lo que queremos es que el Departamento de Policía no actúe de esta manera con nuestra gente. Nuestra gente no son criminales, son trabajadores que trabajan muy duro. Our people are really hard workers, they're not criminals. So we want the police department and the immigration department not to collaborate anymore. We receive phone calls every day. This is brutal. Every day they're taking people. The police stop them by any cause. Even if you have a little rosary in the car, they will stop you. Even if they say any kind of thing to stop you, and then in 5 minutes the Border Patrol comes and pick them up. 5 minutes. So in other parts of the country, if you are stopped by the police and they give you to immigration, there's a 6-hour period for you to go to ICE in here in Tucson. in 5 minutes. They're handed to the immigration department. 5 minutes. After that, some people call us from Nogales in 3-4 hours. So there's no paperwork. There's nothing. Just they put them in a bus, and they don't care. They don't care. They don't even. Sometimes they don't file anything. So this is really crucial. Please, I wanna call our community to be, looking for all these abuses. If you wanna document it, take a picture, take a movie, and send it to us, to la Coalición de Derechos Humanos. I think we need to really act as a community. This is really unhuman. This is devastating for our community. If you go out in the south side, we don't see families anymore going out or having a good time like it used to be. Our communities are really, really destroyed by all these abuses. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Maria Eugenia. We want to pay particular attention right now, focus to secure communities. It is a plan that the federal government, intends to have in place in every single state by the end of 2013. But as Reverend Fife said, it is not just secure communities, although that is really the most dangerous. All the FOIA requests and the lawsuits surrounding ESCOM has revealed incredible irregularities, has revealed that this is tied to a greater request by the FBI for all of us. We must remind everybody that immigrants are used as the canaries in the coal mine, that everything that is utilized against immigrants, that is utilized against us along the border, eventually is used against the 99% of us. We also want to call attention to separate and apart ESCOM. Policies like the Tucson Police Department has, that they cannot stop somebody to check their papers, but if they do on any other motive, just like Maria Eugenia said, some people have been stopped because they have a rosary hanging off the rear view mirror that they claim is an obstruction for them. And you wind up being deported for that. That is pursuant to Tucson Police Department policy, separate and apart from ESCOM, separate and apart from 1070. They have their own, like many other police departments across this country, have policies that say, once you begin any investigation, you have, quote, reasonable cause to believe that the person is in violation of federal immigration laws, you can detain them for 20 minutes. We've had people detained over an hour for Border Patrol to come. And then, of course, we question every single year, this has been decades, asking what is reasonable suspicion that a person is here in violation of federal immigration laws. They do not. They have skin color, they have inability to speak English, they have Mexican IDs, all of which are not indicia of being here in violation of federal immigration laws. So we're open for questions. We urge everybody not only to watch the movie, but to be in vigilance of the massive violation of human rights that have been described here, short-term, long-term. This woman who lost her brother unnecessarily lives here, yet is deported through Mexicali, and of course finds death on his way. So we're open for questions. There's no? Yes?
Well, you mentioned the 99%. Of course, that's the motto with the Occupy Wall Street movement, which is spread across the country, across the world, across here in Arizona, including Tucson. The 99% that you mentioned, are you part of that movement? Is this possibly something you're upset with as well?
Absolutely. All of our movements are absolutely tied. We are all in this together to create a better world. However, you have to note that on May 1st, I just happened to say that in my talk on May 1st, to say that 99% of us are going to feel the impact of all of these immigration and border security measures. So of course they coincide. I mean, it's not a surprise. What is challenging for us on the immigrant rights side is that there is even more ignorance in regards to the issues of immigration. So we are definitely part of the struggles that are being focused on in Wall Street and Occupy Tucson. We are also involved. We have issued a letter in support of that movement because in the end, we are all in this together. And so yes, we are.
Isabel, ¿me podrías decir por qué están hoy haciendo esta manifestación frente al Departamento de la Policía?
Hoy estamos enfrente del Departamento de Policía porque es la agencia principal policíaca que colabora con la inmigración en ejercer las leyes de migraciones federales. Aún sin la 1070, este departamento ha aumentado la colaboración con la migra en la calle, en las cárceles. Ahora todos los policías están enfocándose en pedir documentos. Cuando la gente no presenta el documento que les parece, entonces le llaman a la migra. Y dentro de una hora la persona puede estar ya fuera del país, separada de la familia. Y entonces no es que tengamos una queja en particular ahorita que nos lleva aquí al Departamento de Policía, pero sí, es la agencia policíaca más grande aquí que nos impacta en Tucson. Ellos han sido parte de lo que es seguridad, comunidades seguras, secure communities, que la verdad es todo lo contrario, inseguridad ha resultado en muertes. Y estamos aquí porque esta noche se va a mostrar un documental, Lost in Detention, esta película por María Hinojosa en PBS Frontline. Es en inglés, pero es una película que se necesita hacer en inglés. Se necesita el público norteamericano de Estados Unidos enterarse un poco de las realidades que se enfrentan la gente. Entonces es un llamado no nomás a ver la película, sino a todos los abusos que se han mencionado hoy, que es algo que todos nos deberíamos de preocupar, porque la verdad es que todas estas leyes nos afectan, como hemos dicho anterior, al 99%. Hay 1 a 2% de los ricos, de los privilegiados, de los elites, que no tienen que sentir impacto alguno de estas, pero el resto de nosotros, aunque creamos que es el emigrante, y no nos importa qué les pase a los inmigrantes, la verdad es que tienen que despertar, que están utilizando al migrante para normalizar el abuso masivo de los derechos, y ya lo hemos visto, que uno no tiene que estar sin papeles. A este muchacho, ahorita se me olvida su nombre, el muchacho en Douglas, Carlos Lamadrid, ciudadano, fue baleado por espalda por la gente de la migra. Mucha de nuestra gente que es emigrado, que son ciudadanos, todos hemos sido, le dicen racial profile, es decir, que nos detienen, que nos miran, que nos inspeccionan porque creen que somos gente indocumentada. Y lo más irónico es que estamos en tierras donde nunca nos deberían de decir a nadie de nosotros que quizás seamos extranjeros, no, que somos nosotros, las historias aquí de las Américas, nosotros somos de aquí, y que ahora que se nos trate de esta forma es no hay ninguna razón. Y además el público norteamericano no se da cuenta de la realidad de que nuestro gobierno, es decir, nuestros representantes de ellos, han hecho todo lo posible por 100 años de reclutar a los mexicanos que vengan, y ahora que hay sorpresa, que hay gente indocumentada, 12 millones están aquí porque son necesarios para apoyar el sistema económico aquí.
Isabel, just to clarify, you mentioned the 99% here. Of course, there's Occupy Phoenix, the 99%. Any plans on combining movements to help your, I mean, you're clearly upset with the government, joining the 99% and add this to the Occupy Tucson?
Absolutely. We are part of it. We feel very much a part of the movement. We feel that Occupy Wall Street came about in a large measure through the inspiration of the young immigrant youth, undocumented youth that marched since 2006, that have come out as undocumented and unafraid, and we are moving toward a financial breakdown in terms of our own families and our communities. And so yes, we feel very much a part of it. Our statement to Occupy Tucson and to the rest are that they need to look at indigenous nations and their rights, and that they need to look at immigrant rights as all part of the same demand for a better world.
Thank you.
Okay, muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much for coming today. Anybody else want to add a few words?
No, you preached good.
Oye, el documental
Gracias.